as the world is, moving forward to complete its net zero commitments, so are different countries, and India has its commitment for 2070. Center has its own policies, and the states need to align on this direction as well. To understand more on that about Telangana as a state, we have an opportunity to talk to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who's an IAS, Chief Secretary of IT, Electronics and Communication in the Government of Telangana. Thank you, Mr. Ranjan, for joining us.
Welcome.
Sir, we know, the last 5 years was spent on, attracting investments and working towards electric mobility goals. And you have been a part of building the policy, electric mobility policy in the state. So tell us, what do next 5 years look like? What's the main target area for the next 3 to 5 years for the Telangana government in this direction?
So, as you rightly pointed out, the electric mobility policy, the electric mobility and electric storage policy was introduced 5 years ago in 2020, and we were one of the first states to bring that policy. The results have been very positive. The results have been very encouraging. Some of the expectations that we had set have already been exceeded. But you mentioned it correctly. The imperative behind bringing that policy was mostly investment focused. We wanted more and more manufacturing to happen, both of vehicles and of storage, batteries, cells, and also of components. So the idea was that all these investments will give a boost to our economy, will create jobs, and therefore the focus was not really that much on adoption. We did give some incentives for people to adopt, but it did not look very coherent, etc. Now, in the last 1 year or so, our government has now created a vision for the state for the next 25 years, which is called Telangana Rising. And becoming net zero is a very important part of that vision. So the electric mobility policy also is getting realigned with that vision. So of course, we will still like to encourage more and more manufacturing, more and more investment, because we do have a good ecosystem, we have good infrastructure, we have good trained manpower. There are large OEMs like Mahindra's who have been manufacturing in the state for years altogether, decades altogether, very successfully. Hyderabad and Telangana gave logistics advantages. But we would also now like to get activities happen which help us achieve our net zero goal. And as I said, the vision is for the next 25 years, that is till 2050. And if we have to become net zero by 2050, adoption has to be much faster across all segments. And therefore, what will trigger that adoption? What are the challenges? What are the bottlenecks? What needs to be done to improve that adoption? This will become much bigger part of our strategy, our implementation.
Right, I understand, sir. And 2050, as you mentioned, is Telangana's goal for net zero.
Yes.
So what are the challenges right now? If you could just list top challenges and top focus areas that, in the revised plan that, we can expect.
See, it is like this. Net zero will not happen only by concentrating on mobility.
True.
Net zero is happening through the kind of power sources that we use in our industries, in our homes, the kind of tree cover we have, the kind of manufacturing. Anything which emits carbon, we have to see how that footprint can be reduced. So obviously we will be doing a multi-sectoral plan to become net zero. There will be different kinds of interventions. Some interventions will be easy because Telangana, for example, mobility interventions, I don't see too much of a challenge because already for the last 5 years, the results are good. We may not be very strong in adoption across all categories, but in some categories we are really number 1, number 2, etc.
Can we also expect something on the lines of charging infrastructure or battery swapping as well?
Of course. So to promote better adoption, these are also important factors. You have to provide that confidence that charging is available everywhere. I mean, it is ubiquitous and you don't really need to worry if the battery stops at some point. You don't need to worry that you will be stranded on the roads, etc., etc. So all that is happening, but as I said, the net zero goals will be met through multiple interventions across different kinds of activities, and some will be easy to obtain. As I said, the mobility goals will be quite easy to achieve. Shifting to green manufacturing, etc., will take some time. So we are trying it out with the pharma industry first, because pharma is one of the biggest industrial sector here in Telangana. and Hyderabad, and gradually will shift to other. So some goals will be like low hanging fruits, some will require some medium term effort, some will happen after lots of effort, and it will also require change of mindsets and all that. But I am very confident that it is achievable, and when the government of Telangana delivers on this goal by 2050, we will really become some kind of a global role model.
I understand you have a busy schedule. Just one last thing, sir.
Sure.
Understanding on the e-bus segment, probably you talked about, you in Telangana, you want to convert the entire fleet of, I guess, 3,000
Yes.
RTC buses to entirely electric. So tell me, like, how is that plan working out? How are you going to get the funding for that? And do you, as a state, do you have any orders lined up coming up?
Yeah. So the 3,000 refers to buses which are within the city limits. The state has many more buses, but 3,000 are for Hyderabad city. So I don't have precise numbers because I don't directly deal with the subject, but this decision has been taken at the highest level, and details have been worked out. Where will these buses come from? What will be the funding model? Because no road transport corporation in the country today is in the position to put capex for such a huge order.
Right.
So there will be other ways of funding, like someone else puts the capex, you take those buses on a per kilometer usage. There is
Anything
some
in
contract.
talks right now?
So I don't deal with this subject directly, but I'm very sure that talks are going on, and a clear plan also has been prepared, and very soon we will see many buses in Hyderabad. They will all be visible to people, visible to private vehicle owners on how they are running so successfully on electric. Already there are reasonably large number of buses, but to have 3,000 buses on the roads which are all electric will be a very strong motivating factor for private users.
Yeah. Any specific request to the central government from the state side, that might be a challenge, or that you want to align on?
So obviously the FAME schemes we know are there, and Niti Aayog is also now looking at how the entire country can become Vikasit Bharat by 2047. So they are also continuously discussing with us about our challenges, our problems. So I'm sure this will be something which many other states will be trying, and there will be new national programs and policies to support the states.
All right, sir. Thank you for your time, and thanks for talking to ET.